Thanks for staying with us here on The Pulse. Well, we start from the Supreme Court because this afternoon, the Supreme Court halted plans for a rerun of the parliamentary election in Pandai constituency, pending the determination of a legal challenge by the New Patriotic Party's parliamentary candidate, Machi Yindam. The Apex Court has also directed Machi Yindam's legal team to serve court processes on the National Democratic Congress candidate for the area through substituted service following difficulties affecting personal service. The order was issued on Tuesday, which is earlier today, after the court heard an application contesting a Tamale High Court ruling that annulled the December 7, 2024 parliamentary election in the constituency. The case has been adjourned to January 13, 2026 for further hearing. My colleague Fatau Bayaga was in court and he reports.
A five-member panel of the Supreme Court of Ghana has today ordered for the suspension of the Pandai election rerun. This is after the legal team of the New Patriotic Party, led by Gary Nibaku, prayed to the court that they had tried every means to serve the NDC's candidate, who is the first interested person, but they were unsuccessful. After a prolonged deliberation between the judges and the NPP's lawyer, Gary Nibaku, the court therefore granted them the opportunity to serve the first interested person through a substituted service, which is to last for about 7 days. This has brought excitement to the NPP.
First of all, I would like to express our most profound gratitude to the bench. The Honorable Court, in the interest of justice, has listened to the prayer of the legal counsel for the applicants and has ordered that the second interested party, which is the Electoral Commission, should suspend all preparations towards conducting the rerun in Pandai constituency.
For us, we are happy that national justice is taking its course, and as far as we are concerned, we will work with the court along the line to ensure that we get justice, because we believe that we have a case. It's as simple as that.
This tells you that the law is the law. People are in the constituency trying to put themselves together to participate in a rerun. It is not going to happen because this is an election the NPP candidate won. In fact, we won both the presidential and parliamentary.
Meanwhile, the Minority Chief Whip, Habib Idrisu, says the Speaker must reinstate Matthew Yindam as Member of Parliament for Pandai.
I've always maintained that in terms of his status, if you go and read the Court of Appeal rule, 1997 and CI 19, specifically on Regulation 27, 1 to 3, it is clearly indicated and stated in the appeals court's order, the rules of appeal court. Once there is an application pending for stay of execution with the expiration of the 7 days mandatory stay of execution, then it stays, because even the speaker in his ruling on that particular day made reference to this particular appeals court rules that I have just quoted to you. And I think that by law, I think the Speaker ought to have ruled and make or remind the House that Honorable Yindam still remains the MP for the good people of Pandai.
Meanwhile, the case has been adjourned to 13th January 2026. For Joy News, I'm Fatau Bayaga from the Supreme Court of Ghana.
Well, that's what transpired in court today, and it's a good time now to bring in Haruna Mohammed, his Deputy General Secretary of the NPP. I also have with me Rashid Tanko Computer. He is the Deputy Director for Elections and IT for the ruling NDC. We appreciate your time here on The Pulse. I'd like to start with Haruna. First of all, congratulations. But what does this mean for a party like yours in a time like this?
If you can come again, the line was breaking.
I said congratulations. I'm wondering what this means for you as a political party.
I think the country should be congratulated, not us. We as a party, we have always held fidelity to the law, and we believe in the processes. And that was why yesterday, and I'm happy that my good brother, Tanko Rashid, is back, and I believe he will take note. I will take opportunity to say good afternoon to him and your cherished viewers. for us, it's not a victory for the NPP. It's a victory for Ghana and democracy and judicial processes and procedures.
But you're not out of the waters yet, are you? Because you still have the substantive case that will be heard on the 13th of January. What are your expectations about that case?
Because we are before the Supreme Court, and based on the matters that we have brought before the Supreme Court, I wouldn't want to be very judicial on some of these particular matters. But as the case it is, all of us knows that there is one law that governs elections in Ghana, and there are other procedures that take shape after elections, and that is CI 127, which is the rules are concluded based on the relevant provisions in the CI. There are other laws that emanate in terms of when there is disagreement, and that is where we have the PNDC law 284, and specific provisions have been assigned as to the number of days that is required for you to file a petition. Again, after every election, there is a Gazette notification. We have also publicized the certified Gazette notification, which was ruled in a civil matter before the Supreme Court on 11th of June, where in page 7, the justices of the Supreme Court, unanimously by majority decision, took a decision and confirmed based on the application that was made by the NDC and the procurement of the Gazette notification, which was certified and said that was the correct Gazette notification. And based on these particular factors, and also the facts as has been adduced by the applications, and also before court on the 10th of this month, that is December in Tamale, the actual confirmed their filing of their petition on the 25th of January and cost of payment for 27th of January. So these are matters that the Supreme Court will be looking at on that particular day. And again, on that day, there is another supplementary affidavit which the Supreme Court has ordered and asked that everything about the rerun of the elections based on the court order, which has been acted upon by the Electoral Commission upon a receipt from the a letter from Parliament, has to be suspended, and all the processes leading to the elections must be suspended until the Supreme Court make determination of the matter. And we'll be meeting in court on the 13th of January, which I told you yesterday, and my good brother was telling us that for them everything is advanced. They don't care what happens. But I must also admit that the Electoral Commission, when we were hooked, the Electoral Commission officer who was there says that yes, they are ready, but pending a decision of the Supreme Court that would determine. But my friend was so adamant and so clear that for them, they are just going for elections. And I believe that today his tone will change in terms of his discussions on this particular matter. But I don't want to be prejudicial.
Haruna, stay with me.
I will leave the matter to the arbiter.
Stay with me. Let me bring in Tanko Computer at this point in time. Yesterday, you believed that this ruling will give you the opportunity to, do so much more in your constituency, the Pandai constituency, because you were of the opinion that the court will squash it. But looking at the outcome today, what's your next line of action?
Very well. Let me say good afternoon to you, and then good afternoon to Alhaji Haruna. Indeed, yesterday, I made it very clear that, look, we were not served. We were not served any sermon to appear at the Supreme Court. And so that's why we didn't appear at the Supreme Court. And it was very clear. I told you, we're looking at the veracity of the certiorari that they filed at the Supreme Court. That's what we're discussing. But as a party to it, which is our candidate, Wakpal was not served. So that's why he didn't appear at the Supreme Court. Indeed, there has not been any ruling today. So I was surprised when we were congratulating my friend, my brother, for what have they won in the court? There have not been, there's nothing in there. Read the text from the Supreme Court. They say suspend. They didn't say cancel.
Indeed, the suspension is something that they are celebrating because they were quite hopeful that the court will enable them have more time. And you were even preparing for the rerun, which is on the 30th. And
have we told you that we are stopping the preparation? Has the Supreme Court asked us we should stop campaigning in the constituency.
So you are going on with
like
your
that.
campaign?
Yes, we are going on with our campaign. There's none. The suspension doesn't mean cancellation. The Supreme Court didn't cancel any rerun. They asked that it should be suspended for now. This has given us ample time as a political party to organize ourselves more. It will even give us more time to do more campaign. Because from now up to 13th, we have gotten enough time to organize ourselves very well, because the NPP are going to lose. Look, what they've just done is that they've only gotten a deferment of their defeat. They've only deferred their defeat, which was going to come on 30th, and now moved to 13th when we go and slug it out with them in court. At that time, they would have seen their smoothness level, because our lawyers are preparing the necessary documentations to file our response to their certiorari. We are going to file against it. We are not going to allow it. Now that it has come to our notice that they've gone. You know, they went to court today with 2 motions. And one was for this substituted service, and the other one is they want the Supreme Court asked that they should suspend the processes and all that. That is their right. We are law-abiding citizens. As a political party, one of the most law-abiding political parties in the whole of the sub-region is NDC. And that is why we are respecting the decision from the Supreme Court. But the Supreme Court has no access or hasn't access to stop campaigning in that constituency. There is no orders like that. We are going on with our campaign. Our processes are ongoing. As we speak now, we are sending out all our teams that are going. They should continue the process. We know we will come and face them on the 13th. And that is the time we'll go into the veracity. When my brother was speaking, I always ask you to let them know. On the 14th of November, 2025, just last month, the counsel to second respondent, the lawyers of NPP, wrote their written addresses. They addressed the court before the ruling came. What were they writing inside there? Were they sleeping when they were addressing the court? Didn't they know that NDC had filed outside the mandatory 21 days? What are they talking about? You see, sometimes when they do propaganda like this, and when everybody to follow them with their propaganda, after you have gone through the case for 11 months in court, cross-examine everybody, brought in your witnesses, we cross-examine them, then you sent your written address to the court on 14th November. I repeat, 14th November. Then on 24th November, the judge come and make a ruling. When you even went to court, your leadership, NPP leadership, led by my worthy brother, Honorable Afenyo Markin, ran down the High Court judge in Tamale, said all manner of unpalatable words about the judge. When the ruling came out, have you heard them say anything about the ruling? They are rather asking that it should be quashed. They are not talking about the veracity of the ruling.
Okay, stay with me. Stay with me, Tanko. I'll come back to you because we want to find out why exactly your candidates have been evading the judicial service. They've been trying to serve you. And that's why the court today issued that they should be served through a substituted service. We'll come back to get a response from you, but it's a good time to take our audience now to the Pandai constituency just to get a reaction of individuals in Pandai. The NDC tells us that they are on the grounds, they are still campaigning. They believe that despite the outcome of today's ruling, the court will eventually rule in their favor after the case is heard. The substantive case is heard on January 13th. And also, the NPP is of the opinion that this signals victory. Let's go on the grounds now and speak to my colleague Martina Bugri. She has been engaging constituents on the ground. Martina, what's their reaction to today's court's ruling?
So at this point that we speak, the information is in Pandai. Earlier on, it was a lot of people had not heard it yet, but now the information is spread through the Pandai constituency that the rerun has been suspended. Earlier on, the NPP held a meeting with their polling station executive. Now, they were just about finishing the meeting when the Supreme Court ruling came, but they declined to speak on the issue. They said they are waiting for a directive from their leadership and the MP from the top before they can comment. The NDC had gone earlier this morning and went into the various communities to campaign. So as we speak now, the NDC are still in the constituency, different parts of the areas doing their campaign. Now, when you speak to the ordinary person on the street, what they say is that it is a good time for them because tension was beginning to build in their constituency, which meant that it was going to affect their Christmas celebration. But with this ruling, the tension would die down. They would have time to celebrate, and then they can launch back, prepare themselves for the rerun.
Thank you, Martina. She's on the ground. She's been engaging residents. I still have with me Tanko Computer and also Haruna Mohammed. I also have with me Dr. Asa Asante, a political scientist. Right now, the conversation is moving on to what then would be the status of Machiyindam in Parliament. And so it's a good time to bring in political scientists. Asa Asante, stay with me, Haruna and Tanko. I'll come back to you shortly. But then we've heard from both political parties give different opinions about what exactly will be the status of the man in question, the man in the eye of Mr. Machiyindam as we speak. Looking at what we have on our hands, what then happened to the status of Machiyindam in Parliament? Can he return?
Thank you, Faustina. This is a question that you must pose to the lawyer. As a political scientist, I have no idea as to what then is the interpretation. So the lawyers will assist us. But my understanding of the whole process is that the Supreme Court has spoken and it's final. Until anything is done to, change the decision of the court through a legal process, the decision of the court reigns. So they have to wait till January, the set date, and then until now, that is what it is.
Now, just looking at your readings into what is panning out in our political space, what does this case mean for Ghana's history and also Parliament?
Oh, interestingly, for me as a student of politics, my understanding is that democracy is getting entrenched and that rule of law and ethos of democracy are held to high standards. For me, it's a refreshing news that when people differ in terms of opinions and ideas, the best forum for redress is the courts. So once they put it in the courts, that's fine now, all right? So for me, I respect that, and it gladdens heart in the sense that for democracy to survive, rule of law must be held in the highest level standard all time. So whenever people show their differences in no forum than the courts. And for me, that is a key society must strive for time, in spite of our differences and our interests, that we will use the judiciary to address our questions. The ones that we can deal with them without the judiciary, we should, and be able to make sure that our democracy survives. I am saying this because we have seen around us countries that are on the reversal in terms of the democratic experience, and that I want my country to remain a democratic state. So at all times, things that will go against the tenets, the ethos of democracy, let us avoid them. And one of the evils of our democracy is electoral violence and electoral, aberrations. Let us rise above these things, and our democracy will stand tall, and that we will consolidate it as we move along.
Doc, stay with me. Let me bring back Tanko Computer, because I was just finding out why exactly the NDC candidate for Pandai has been evading the court and the judicial service, because they've been trying to serve your candidate. That's why today the court ruled that it ought to be served with a substituted service. So I would like to start with Tanko. What's your response to that?
Our candidate has not been evading service. In fact, our candidate is a responsible person. He's been a former MP. He has never traveled for the last 2 years outside this country. He's been in the country. Indeed, he was part and parcel of our meeting about 2 days ago in the constituency when we met all the branch executives. What are they talking about? Why are they trying to impugn on the integrity of our candidate? He is alive. He's working about doing his business of campaigning in the constituency. So they shouldn't come and the onus lie on them to look for him and serve him. If they are lazy to look for him to serve, is that our cup of tea? They just wanted to go for substituted service. That's what they were interested in. And they've given it's part of the legal process. That one there, we have no problem with that. We have no problem with it at all. And that's why I'm saying now that it has come to our notice and that they have gotten substituted service, we will respond appropriately. We will respond, and we are bringing their own documents. The NPP, the second responder, Nyindam and his lawyers, whatever they put in the court and other things, we have them, the processes and all the motions they filed during the processes. We will make it available to the Supreme Court on the 13th. Nothing is going to change. They only defer their defeat. Nothing is going to change. We'll face them on the 13th. And I'm very sure, pretty sure, that on the 13th, you see, they are celebrating now because they've just asked that it should be suspended. Wait and hear from them. The day the Supreme Court will rule on this matter, they'll go in arms against the Supreme Court again. They have been saying all manner of stating, all manner of unprintable words against judges as of it. That is what they are doing. That is what they are doing. But we respect the courts, and that is why we go by the court decisions. Look, Nyindam is a former MP. The orders, as directed by the High Court, is still in force. And Nyindam cannot go to Parliament. He's a former MP. Nothing stops. There is no injunction whatsoever placed on those and the orders. The suspension is as a result of the 30th. That is what they are talking of, not the implementation of the orders. And which must be very clear in our mind in this. The orders was directing the conduct of the rerun. That is why they say suspend the rerun while we look at this matter, not the orders. So people should not be confusing as a public, and that's what the NPP is noted for. They are there confusing everybody as if the orders was directing at Parliament, as Clerk of Parliament and Electoral Commission to set aside the High Court orders. No, the orders is about the rerun, which is coming on the 30th. Don't go ahead with the 30th. Hold on. Once we listen to these people, Nyindam is a former MP, and it must be very clear.
Haruna, you've been smiling throughout. Care to tell us what exactly is amusing you?
Firstly, democracy is very interesting and very good. I love the energy in my brother. You can also see that there is a lot of pain in him that this judgment and directive has been given by the Supreme Court. If for anything at all, I heard him talk about how they respect the judicial system. The current president, who was candidate Mahama then, now president, he denigrated the Supreme Court bench than any other person. He called them unanimous FC. The NDC, nobody has denigrated the Supreme Court and judges in this country than them. You can remember the Muntie. They said, "Yebe wareno, yebe wareno." This very distasteful. These were the things that was said by them. He's talking about respect for judicial system. Well, I'm happy that you are pointing the facts of the matter to him. He said they will come. He was evading service. We tried, we did a search. All these manners, they were hiding him. Today, all of a sudden, they are saying they are coming. If you had come today, we would have finished the matter today. You are rather wasting everybody's time. You are rather wasting everybody's time. The law will continue to be the law. We have said we will continue to hold fidelity to the law. And we will not attack the judiciary. We will speak against the decision of court. And when he said that they never spoke against the judge decision, the ruling, that is not true. Afenyo's commentary and comments on the judiciary matter was after the judgment. We have also contested the judge's ruling for a stay of execution. In 2 days' time, this matter will be settled because he will pass a ruling based on the argument. Again, you keep on mentioning that we have stayed, is it 14th November? 14th November. You were not in court on 10th December. You were not in court. Those matters came up.
And they showed that this was what? We asked them, they asked, where is the original of the Gazette notification? Did you accept it when it was brought? No. So why are you pointing to that matter? There is no expiration to the commitment of crime in Ghana. So at any point in time when you identify something that has been done untoward, then you have the liberty to take it on and add it and make sure that there is judicial pronouncement on those matters. For us, as I've told you, we are not celebrating. We are only grateful that the law in these particular circumstances has been applied, and then we have been given the opportunity for him to be served in 5 instances. 1 on his WhatsApp, 2 by his gate, 3 by the Supreme Court notice board, 4 by High Court notice board, and then 5 by the Circuit Court in Pandai, which was built by us. So for us, we are happy that the law has come to the procedure, and we are only hopeful that the Supreme Court will stay onto the procedure as it was applied in the civil motion in the case of Akwetia on the 11th of June, when that judgment was passed on a similar and same matter, which was being adjudicated on. We will leave the matter of determination to the Supreme Court, whether they have the document, they have what. Our case is solid. Our legal team is well-grounded. We are very focused. We are minded that legal jurisprudence must be respected. We know that the Supreme Court is the highest, the apex court of the land, and we will always take our case, no matter what the disagreement we have with the court. We will go to the court and make our case, and that does not stop us from criticizing judgment of the court. So we are grateful.
Haruna, allow me to come in at this point in time. It appears that behind the scenes, you are crossing your T's and dotting your I's. We just heard from our correspondents on the ground tell us that polling station executives for the NPP were meeting earlier today. What exactly was the purpose of that meeting?
The General Secretary some time ago issued a statement for polling station meetings. So I don't know maybe if that is the polling station meeting, because we are doing what we call membership drive. So if maybe the polling station people are obeying the directive of the General Secretary for the polling station meetings for the membership drive. So I wouldn't know. I don't just have to accept. I need to also call and find out what was the meeting for. But what I do know is that we are not doing any campaign in Pandai. And our polling station officers have been mandated by the National Secretariat, signed by my boss, the General Secretary, to hold polling station meetings across all the country, the polling stations in the country. So if they are holding a meeting, perhaps I need to cross-check, because in a very good journalism system or communication or effective communication, if somebody says it is raining outside and you are inside as you are, you only need to open the door and check whether it is actually raining. You don't just confirm what it is, but confirm from outside to also see whether it's actually raining.
That's what we're trying to confirm from you, and you don't appear to have that information. Are you sure you're not on the grounds campaigning?
We are not, because we are in court, and we have said it. We are not campaigning. We know that after the court decisions have been taken, then whichever way it goes, and if it requires that we'll go and take what belongs to us. But we are not campaigning. We are in court.
Tanko, you seem to be smiling at this point in time and nodding your head. Are you disagreeing with him? You're on the grounds campaigning. Have you seen NPP officials on the grounds as well?
Was it that they are there campaigning? That's why I was laughing. We are crisscrossing the place with them. They are all over the place. In fact, last week, their General Secretary was there with Nyenda Menku. They had an even press conference, was addressing the press and talking to people about the elections and all this kind of thing. They are there. Do we have it? Even some of your cameramen were there to capture them. They are there campaigning. Do you trust NPP? Didn't they hold a press conference to tell the whole world that they were not participating in the Ablekumanoff election? Didn't they? Their General Secretary addressed the press conference. Less than 14 hours to the election of Ablekumanoff, they were there. The following day, they deployed their national officers. Their presidential aspirants, all of them, they were in that constituency. Crisscrossing on that very day. So how do you trust NPP when they tell you a story of this nature? Because the history doesn't support them. I know that they are there. We are with them in that constituency. They are only deferring their defeat. And the defeat will come. Whether the 30th or after 30th, it will still come. They will still get the defeat. That one, they can't run away from it. They can use all the legal gymnastics. They will still face the defeat. Because after this rerun, I can assure you, the rerun will come. You cannot go to a constituency, have one polling station, and voting over 1,400. Another polling station, 1,200. What type of election is that? And you want to hide on technicalities and other things, which of course is not even correct, because the technicalities on which you are relying on doesn't hold water. You brought this matter and it was ruled on. Then you accept it. We went to case management, reduced our 14 release to 3, and the issues that to be relied on for the case. You accepted this. We all went through the matter for 11 months. They just make his ruling, and now you've gone back and said, "Oh no, I'm not going to be part of this matter. I just want you to quash everything." what kind of thing is this?
Tanko, I'll come back to you. I'll come back to you as well as Haruna. Please stay with me.
Unfortunately, I have to run for a meeting. We are in a meeting, and
you came out of that meeting. Okay.
Yes, because I have some
whilst you're going back to that meeting, we'll work to see how best we can bring you back to the conversation. But it's imperative I bring in now Chairman Sabonso. He is a former majority leader. Just to give us some perspective to this, we've just been hearing from the Supreme Court today. Substantively, can Matu Yindam still be called Member of Parliament elect for Pandai?
Is not a Member of Parliament elect. It's a Member of Parliament. If you say it's a Member of Parliament elect, you are suggesting that he must be sworn in again in order to begin his tenure as a Member of Parliament. He's a Member of Parliament and he's been sworn in as such until his position is revoked. Now, the ruling from the court that I heard somebody argue that it's a determination from the court and it should stand. I don't want to go into those matters. But if you flash back to the election petition that was submitted in respect of NPP, the presidential candidate Kufuor versus John Dramani Mahama in 2012, right? A Foreign Electoral Commission had made a regulation, NV, no verification, no vote. Some people had gone to vote without being verified. It was one of the issues that we raised in court. Now, Frejan himself had said that if you were not verified and you voted, the outcome from that polling station should be nullified. The argument by Mr. Chachuchikata at the time was that you cannot punish those of them who had gone to be in the sun, queued to go and vote because you said maybe 3-4 people were not verified. But that was something else. The ruling, the regulation was clear. The second regulation was also that if there was overvoting in any particular place, the result should be nullified, even if it was overvoting by one. Remember, when Afrejan was asked what constitutes overvoting, even though in his regulation they had said, if maybe the voters register for a polling station, the number involved was about 700. But those of them who went to cast their votes, maybe 600 out of 700. But when it came to counting, then it was found out that maybe about 10 people had also come to vote without being registered. That was overvoting by the Electoral Commission's own regulation in court when this matter came up. And that, if it happened, the outcome should be nullified. Again, Mr. Chachikata and Tony Lita raised the same argument. Why punish those of them who have been there? The Supreme Court upheld the argument of Mr. Chachikata and Tony Lita on those matters. Those two matters. The Supreme Court decision is there to serve as a precedent. But I don't want to go into those things. Now, coming back to the issue that you raised about whether he can continue to be a member of parliament. He is a member of parliament. Indeed, the ruling from the High Court was that there is a vacancy. And on account of that, Parliament had written to the Electoral Commission that there is a vacancy, so go and hold a by-election, which the Electoral Commission had indicated to do within 60 days from the ruling, the date of the ruling. Now, the Supreme Court has, by this ruling today, suspended that. It means that you cannot activate it. The suspension means that you cannot activate that. You should hold it until we hear the case through again.
But then, now, Mr. Chairman Sabonso, let me just bring in this scenario. Here's a case that, just like you said, the Clerk of Parliament has already notified the Electoral Commission of the vacancy of the Pandai seat. Today's ruling in the Supreme Court only tells them to suspend the rerun. But the substantive case will be heard in January 13. Now, what does that then mean for Matu Yindam's status as we speak? Can he still be described as MP for that constituency, knowing fully well that that seat has been declared vacant by Parliament?
That's the point I'm making. That it's not Parliament that declared the vacancy. It's the court that declared the vacancy. Parliament did not declare the vacancy. It's the court that declared the vacancy. And Parliament was served with a notice that this is what has come from the court, on account of which Parliament then wrote to the Electoral Commission that the courts have made a determination that there's a vacancy, and so hold a by-election. And now the same court is saying that no, what the junior court said should be held in abeyance. In other words, for the time being, there's nothing that is pending until we hear the substantive matter. And that being the case, you cannot use the determination by the junior court to say that he is no longer a member of Parliament. He continues until the final determination is made. He continues until the final determination is made. One in the Jachi Kwesing case, the determination was made by the High Court, and there was an appeal. And that is why some of us talk about the inconsistency in what Parliament is doing. For close to 1 year, Parliament refused that. Today we have a situation where Parliament is sprinting to embrace a third. And that's why we find ourselves in this situation. But as I'm saying, I think that for the time being, that decision has been held in abeyance by what has come forth from the Supreme Court. If eventually you are saying that, oh, he cannot be a member of Parliament, that he has vacated his seat. If the case comes now out, and the determination is made by the Supreme Court that what the junior court did was wrong, we do say that he must be sworn in again as a member of Parliament. We do say that he must be sworn in again when the case goes for him. He should be sworn in, because if there's a vacancy, then when he went in court, he must be sworn in again afresh as a new member of Parliament. That is not it. If the case goes for him, he continues as a member of Parliament. That is why there cannot be any hiccup now. For the time being, he continues until the final determination by the court.
So today Parliament is sitting. Can Matu Yindam walk in to be part of the process?
First of all, it's for the minority caucus to come forth with the determination by the court and serve in, or have the court serve in on the Speaker and Parliament. And that will draw the attention to the fact that no, the vacancy has been held in abeyance. The vacancy declared by the junior court has been held in abeyance now by this new determination. And so Matthew can continue. So once they accept, then he could move it. Don't forget that Parliament has formalized it, the vacancy, by writing the Electoral Commission. Parliament must be served with a process from the court so that they will revert what they have done to the Electoral Commission.
Thank you so much, also Chairman Sabonso is former Majority Leader, just sharing his thoughts on this. I still have with me Dr. Asa Asante. We've just been hearing from both political parties, the NDC and the NPP. We've heard from a former Majority Leader tell us the processes that indeed Matu Yindam can still be termed Member of Parliament for the area. As we wrap up the conversation, how should the both political parties interested parties in this, the NDC and the NPP, conduct themselves, especially knowing fully well that there are controversies on the ground as to if indeed Pandai has representation in Parliament? Doc.
Hello.
Yes, Doc, I can hear you.
I missed the last of your speech. You could cut to that coming here.
Now, I wanted to find out, based on your conclusion, what's the ideal situation and how should both political parties, the NDC and the NPP, conduct themselves, knowing fully well that we have both political parties being definite about the stance of Maji Indam. On one side, one party says he can return to the House, and the other side, another party says that he cannot return to the House until the substantive case is heard. How should they conduct themselves, knowing fully well that, as we speak, the people of Pandai do not know if they have representation?
Interestingly, that point is what Mr. Chairman said, that the minority caucus will have to, make a step in Parliament. So we'll learn from what happens in Parliament, and that will give the direction as to how the business of Parliament related to the issue we are talking about is concerned. So let's see how the days go by, how Parliament will respond to this, and then we take a cue from this, and then act according to the rules.
Doc, have you finished making your point, or we lost connection to Doc? Okay.
No, I was saying that, as Mr. Chairman said, minority caucus have to trigger a certain process. Once they do that, definitely majority will also come in. And then at the end of the day, what will turn out from Parliament provide the course and direction as to what ought to be seen or done in the Constitution. And then we will be in line with the Supreme Court decision of the land. So I think for now, they give Parliament. Let's see what will happen, and then we'll take a cue from there.
Thank you so much, Dr. Asante. He's a political scientist, for your time here on The Pulse. Earlier, I spoke to former Majority Leader, Osei Chairman Sabonsu. I also engaged Rashid Tanko Computer, Deputy Director of Elections and IT for the NDC, as well as Haruna Mohammed. He is Deputy General Secretary for the NPP. I understand that Haruna Mohammed is still with us. Haruna, would like to take your final words whilst we wrap up the conversation.
Okay, thank you very much, Fosti. My brother did mention that the General Secretary was in Pandai with Matthew and co. Yes, I was in Pandai with the General Secretary. That was on Monday. We went to brief the NPP party with regards to the position of the party on the Pandai election issues, and also to bring them up to speed with the outcome of the NEC meeting that was called because of the Pandai. So we went to brief them, and later in the evening that we saw that the Electoral Commission served as a supper meal of a rerun timetable. So we didn't go there for campaign. We went there on administrative matter because the General Secretary, in his part of his duties, is to perform his administrative duties extended to the constituency. So it was on us for us to let them know what the party is thinking and what the status quo it is. And again, as I speak to you, I'm in Parliament. As Osei Chairman Sabonso have said, there is some engagement, and the leadership, the minority caucus, has taken some certain steps relative to the matters that has been raised. I believe that we have a very strong case, and my brother also continued to mention that we submitted certain matters before the court, and they are going to use them, and we are ready and very confident that the judicial system of our country will not be turned upside down. We'll continue to protect the democracy of our country. We'll continue to protect our parliamentary system, and we urge Parliament to also act on this particular directive.
So when exactly are they acting? Are they acting today? The minority caucus, will they raise it on the floor today?
The minority caucus have initiated. That's what I'm telling you.
Okay.
I'm currently in Parliament, and that is why I am not using an office. That's why I'm speaking to you. If you check my background.
I see.
I'm there. We're making some particular considerations, and the leadership of the minority will engage and ensure that what is right and is being done. So I like those particular submissions as they come in. But I tell you that the law will continue to be the law. My brother would talk plenty without citing even anything from the laws. But I understand he's a law student. And,
Thank you. Haruna Mohammed is Deputy General Secretary of the NPP. I have to let you go at this time because we would be heading to Parliament. We want to find out what exactly is happening there. My colleague James Aveji is on the ground for us. You're still watching the poll. Stay with us. After this quick turn, we'll be right back.